Hi, it's Christina Pulver, 401 Volleyball, and I'm sitting here today with head coach Michael Seemann from Portland State University. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I guess just to start off, how are you keeping connected with the girls right now with the team?
As everybody's finding the new challenges of keeping connected, we're definitely scheduling a team meeting once a week. That's as far as just the basic standard of checking in with everybody. That's when the whole team is together. When we do that, we have various activities, or it's kind of like a share time, show and tell, share and tell, whatever you're going to call it.
Love it.
And then between the three coaches, we kind of split up the team and rotate them and check in with each person individually.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Good idea.
but we're not doing a ton of, I know a lot of programs are trying to kind of eke out as much as possible as far as watching video and all that stuff. And we're not doing a lot of that. I think priority right now is that they stay healthy, that they stay fit, and I think that, the online school part of it is just worrisome a little bit.
Yeah. You're, when you say worrisome, just it's taking up a lot of time. And so you want that to be the priority. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, and I think we're all on the screen more than ever, right? At least for me, this is I'm so sick of seeing my own face talking, but no, it's so I don't necessarily want to occupy a bunch of their time on the screen, and I think phone calls are good and just checking in. And if anybody we find that needs extra, we try to give that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, our kids are super motivated to do really well in school, and so I'm not too worried, but it's that online piece, I think, of it that, there's some professors who say this is due every week, and there's some professors say here's the whole workload for the whole term.
Yeah.
That's a scarier one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get it. And, so here you are entering your 14th season at Portland State. You obviously love it.
Yes.
Tell us what keeps you at Portland State for so many years.
It's funny. I just answered this question to a prospect who we were talking to, the family, and mom was like, "Are you going to be around? Like you've been there for a long time." Absolutely love it. When I moved to Portland, I just fell in love with the whole area. It's such a beautiful region in the Northwest, and Portland offers so much in terms of accessibility to all that beauty and nature. But it also is a kind of a cultural headquarters, and I think that, to me, that makes it very exciting, and it provides, I think, enough of that change and stimulus for me to be here as long as I can stay here. I'm definitely going to stay here.
Yeah,
um,
no, you got the beautiful mountains, so you can ski. You got the hiking, the biking. Do
oh
you
yeah.
do you let your team ski? I have to ask.
No, Julia is funny because the Haneys always are the ones who are the skiing, the ones that are all excited about that. But yeah, that's discouraged at this point.
No, I get it. So, Portland State is a university. Let's talk about the academic side a little bit. I think large school, great sports, but I think it's got a very strong reputation for its academics. Go ahead and
No
talk.
question. So the biggest thing is, I think, with Portland State is that we are directly, affiliated with so many businesses in the area. And because of that, even if your major is not business, you have access to so many real life, I think, experiences that you don't have to uproot yourself for, or go get another year of experience somewhere else, or get to know or introduce yourself to a company once you graduate. Because the fact is you're going to know a lot of those people prior to graduating. And even a lot of our faculty and staff at Portland State are made up of business professionals who are doing it for real.
Mhm.
And so I think that, to me, a lot of those campuses that just sit by themselves are just kind of like theory. It's not that they're not valuable, but I think it's all theory. Whereas I think in Portland State, you have a lot more practice to what you're learning. And to a lot of people, I think that's a much easier way to learn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The networking opportunities and just, like you said, when you graduate, and just the name of Portland State, especially in the business world, is a huge major there. And, most players don't necessarily go on and play professionally afterwards. So, preparing them for afterwards and being able to do internships while on campus, right, is huge. Um,
Absolutely.
Are there, since we're on the academic topic, let's just go ahead and jump to that. Are there any majors that they're not allowed to take when they play for you on the volleyball team?
There really aren't. I would have said prior to this engineering,
Yeah.
but we've now had two graduates in engineering, and the last one we had, she was actually from Serbia. So she will tell you firsthand that it took the burning the candle on both ends, especially her junior and senior year. She was extremely intelligent, but also very motivated.
Hmm.
But she could tell you a lot of 1 a.m., 2 a.m. nights, just because of the accumulation of both the time, required for volleyball and also for engineering in particular. That is really the only one that I would not necessarily steer anybody away from, but I would definitely give them the heads up first.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned the Haneys. So for those of you who don't know, Julia Haney, 421 alumni from, she was at 2019, plays for you. And so I've been able to hear her excitement and energy as a freshman, which is always good to hear.
Yes.
It's a big adjustment for these players. And I don't know if you're 2 hours away or 10 hours away, they're away. And so
Yep.
I think one of the things that drew me to you is just you have a very approachable style and very easy to talk to. So, you've been there 14 years. How do you go about developing, your personal style, your philosophy, and talk a little bit about how people would describe you as a coach?
I think first of all, I think I'm somebody who, while like living in Portland for 14, 15 years now, or being in the same place would be the one constant in my life, I would say. But everything else, I like the change. Like I'm a big fan of seasons. I'm a big fan of my occupation, because I think you see young women come into the program and then they leave, and that keeps moving. So that part of my job, I think, stays really fresh, and it's new challenges and new relationships, and ones that you keep, beyond that, which is also, I think, unique in our profession quite a bit. But I think because of that, I think every year I try to look at every aspect of the program and say, not only what can we do better, but what needs to change. And I think there are so many different ways to approach a skill in volleyball, to approach tactics and all that stuff, and drill development and practice structure.
Mhm.
And I think there are so many ways to attack that. And so I try to utilize that, listen to my assistants a lot, but also access kind of the creative side of things, and really move forward.
Mhm.
We are definitely a playing kind of first program. And what I mean by that is we try to use the game to teach the game as much as possible.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's in a nutshell, kind of like what it
Yeah,
is.
and you definitely I have had success over the years where you've really established like that winning culture. You guys are in a tough conference. How do you go about really getting girls coming in as freshmen, learning how to compete with the seniors, learning how to all work together in the gym?
Yeah, that to me is the best part, is putting all the personalities together, putting different levels of experience together, and having the freshmen. I think aside from just the standard, I think things that we do, such as kind of having a big sister, little sister,
Mhm.
and kind of having a mentor, especially for that preseason. But one of the things that I think we do is we make it very clear that every day is a battle in our gym, and everybody comes in with an opportunity to not only improve, but an opportunity to build a bigger role as a player within the program. And that has to be defended daily, and I think that whether you're a freshman, whether you're a redshirt, whether you're a walk-on, or whether you're a senior, those expectations are clear, and those are clear every day. And I think because of that, we get a very motivated group in practice. We get a lot out of training.
Mhm.
And like I said, we play a lot. So
Mhm.
I think that the one thing in common for sure, whether you're a freshman or a senior, is your passion for playing.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the thing, that lowest common denominator. But once again, we use the game to motivate it. We use the game to teach. And I think that's, while it's a little bit trickier and you might not see the growth happen as fast, I think it's the growth that sticks with it the longest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really fun to be an athlete at Portland State. Your athletic department and just the culture, I think, of the intermingling between the sports it's quite a tight group. Why don't you talk just a little bit about that?
It is. It's an amazing group. It's funny because we just got off a 52-person Zoom call.
Love it.
It was the whole staff.
No way.
um, but it is amazing program, because one of the things is that we have a great leader in Val, who is our athletic director, Valerie Cleary. But one of the things that she says every single day, and the thing that we repeat at this level too, is it's the people that make the program. And we have such an amazing group of it, both leaders and also administrators and also other coaches, that it makes that program feel a little bit more like a family and a little bit closer to home. And that, I believe, trickles down to our student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they see that, they experience that, and they see us, the way we interact with other coaches, with our administration, and it feels very much like home, and it feels very comfortable to them.
Yeah. Do you share the gym with other sports, or do you have your own gym?
We do. We share the new a brand new arena with men's and women's basketball only.
Okay.
And then we also have a practice gym as well.
Okay, awesome. So let's say I'm an athlete that needs to maybe get away and just meet or hang out with a non-athlete. How would I go about doing that at Portland State? What are the clubs, or what are other ways can they get involved?
Well, first of all, it's an amazing campus. So, just literally going outside, especially in the spring, the summer, classes are out there, hanging out there. I think because of the campus being so close and being part of the city, there's a lot of really, really cool hangouts that are coffee shops and areas where where a lot of student athletes meet, and non-student athletes. So I think that's a great way to connect there. Also, we hold it a priority too to make sure that when our student athletes are in their classes, the usual things such as know your professor, but also to meet other civilians.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so crucial just to be able to. I think we all live in a pretty focused world, and so I think it's really important for total balance and total well-being to hang out with non-student athletes.
Yeah, no. Do you have your volleyball players live together as freshmen and then their choice afterwards, or are they in the dorms? Talk about
It's their choice from the start. And so I usually tell the freshmen, here are your options, really. Hopefully there's, if you do want to live with another volleyball player, hopefully there's another incoming freshman with them and they can do that. The next choice for me is another student athlete, just to understand kind of the demands. But then finally, just to live with a stranger or someone, oftentimes too, they're like, oh, a friend of mine from high school is also going there. So
yeah, no, awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the preseason. When do you have, in a typical year, your athletes report in the summer? Do you do summer school, or what's your plan?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really unique. We're a quarter system, which there aren't a lot of, and because of that, they're coming in early. We're reporting the same time everybody else, which is usually the August 10th area, kind of right in there, that first week in August. But we don't start school till the end of September.
Oh, so nice.
So for literally 2 months, you are essentially a professional volleyball player. And from an academic point of view, it's way less class time missed. We have almost a third of our season over before school even starts. So that is tremendously advantageous for our freshmen, especially, just so they can get, they know the lay of the land. They're on campus before the rest of the student body, so they kind of own it and they know where all the stuff is and how to get around. And I think that some of that additional pressure of performing in the classroom is also at least delayed for a while.
Ease into it. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's huge. Now, with that, do you guys have a study abroad program there during that?
We do.
You do.
Yeah, we do. We had 2 seniors this year who were done with their eligibility after this fall. They went to Spain.
Oh,
and
cool.
They went there for the winter term. So
okay, good.
They made it back. Yeah. That was my first question, because they actually texted right when they were right when the whole thing kind of broke out. But yeah, they were able to finish complete and then get back just in time. They were scrambling though. It was difficult.
Yeah. Oh, that's really awesome. That's pretty unique. I mean, I know it's not necessarily unique across the board in colleges, but it is somewhat unique for a D1 volleyball player to be able to have that opportunity in their college experience.
I think it really is specifically just that situation where you've exhausted your eligibility and you're not training anymore because you're a senior.
Okay.
So then,
opportunity presents itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, if you plan your schedule right, and as long as you can make it work with your classes, then that would be I would think, a big goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Describe the type of athlete, student athlete that's successful for you in your program?
Physically, somebody who is, I mean, if you look at our roster, I feel like we tend to usually get a little bit of the undersized but extremely athletic kid.
Okay.
And we've had a lot of success with that recipe. Not the entire team, but majority of the team made up of skilled players who are not always. I think we lean towards getting the more athletic kid over the size.
Okay.
Obviously, size and athleticism matters, but I think that's just first off in terms of just the physicality part of it.
Uh-huh.
But we like kids who know how to handle themselves and can carry a conversation as like an adult. But I think you have to have a sense of humor in our program. You have to be able to hang because we like to have fun. But we also, I think you have to be able to turn the switch on and off as well in terms of this is training time as we get after it. And so I think that's what I look for when I'm recruiting and trying to get these conversations is it difficult to talk to this person?
Yeah.
And even though I understand, they're in high school and so on, and it's an intimidating thing to take on. But I think it's important when you're talking to a kid and they know what they want. And to me, that's the drive we're looking for, and we want that person in the program.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you can tell a lot by, just these conversations. And so, yeah, that's one thing I'm going to be doing is sending you some interviews that I'm doing with my players as well.
Yes.
I think this Zoom concept is something that's not going to go away. I mean, we're now kind of all getting used to, I mean, I still don't look at the camera. I like to look at your eyes.
Right, I know.
We're all trying to get used to this new style of communicating. And I think it's great. I think it's going to really help when we all do acclimate back into the social aspects of our life. At least we're not just on the phone or texting the whole time. So I'm enjoying this.
When I thought of that, when we're getting ready for this, I was thinking, what a great idea, right? I mean, it gives people a chance without calling that coach or talking, or seeing them and trying to start a conversation. You at least get a little bit of a taste of kind of how they converse, a little bit a window into their program.
And then they're not intimidating. Look, you're like so fun and easy to talk to. And then, oh, you know what? I want to call him and get to know his program more. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
very,
for sure.
With all this, I think the mental side of sports in general, volleyball, maybe even after all of this, is going to be more and more important with helping keep that athlete intact on a lot of different levels. What does Portland State offer from a mental health standpoint for athletes?
I think it's such an important aspect of a program, and we've got quite a few systems in place besides a very strong network of both teammates, coaches, and administrators that are very connected with our players. Our administration made it a point to make sure that they know our players as well as we do, or try. It's impossible to know everybody as well, but because of that, we wanted to make sure that our student athletes feel like it's more than just my head coach and my assistants that are helping me and my teammates. There's a whole structure here that's here to help us. Yeah. Specifically, we've got quite a few checkpoints at which I think we try to determine if somebody needs more additional help. But each athlete meets with each coach every week. That's just standard. And then we've got our academic advisors who often serve the role as a little bit of a therapist sometimes. I think they mostly as listeners, but I think that they're a crucial piece to that as well, because I think oftentimes, even if you want to talk about your role on the team, you don't always want to talk directly to a coach. And so having access to somebody who knows you as a student athlete, who knows you as a person, but doesn't have decision-making roles or, I think is crucial. So you're able to go in there and just unload and be like, oh, I'm so frustrated, but then walk out and not have any kind of right. So I think that's huge. And then on the more serious level, and when we identify student athletes who need more, who we're underqualified to serve them, we have what we call the Shack. It's just Student Health Center. And we have systems in place where they can go and see and access them as part of the service there. In addition to that, we don't wait for that point to happen. Is that those same therapists that are in the Shack come over and they meet with our team usually once a term.
Okay.
and not only make it clear that they're available to them, but also here are some common practices when you are feeling depressed, stressed, all the things that we all, experience as we go on.
Yeah, it's all a big process and journey. And how old are your kids?
How old are what?
Are your kids?
Like my personal kids?
Yeah.
I have 0 kids.
You don't have any kids.
No, I don't.
Asked you this before. You seem like such a dad, and you do, like, in a good way. I think, as you're talking, I really feel like they can, look up to you, but just, feel like you can be their friend. Of course, you put your coach hat on, and I apologize.
Oh no, it's all good.
I
No,
think
I
it's a
like.
compliment.
I think one of the things, and I do get it. I get a little bit of that, like once, but I think the I go back and forth because, like, are we really mentors to these young women as a male, especially?
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, directly in terms of, obviously they're not necessarily emulating necessarily everything, but I think perhaps, for lack of a better term, a good example of a male, if that makes sense. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's very important to have good, strong male role models in our lives.
Right.
No, exactly.
Right. So I think that, I'm always careful to be like, oh, we're mentors, because I think I don't pretend to be a perfect human being.
Yeah, no.
But certainly I think that there's a value system we're following here, or that I'm following and my staff follows. And I think that without necessarily stating that every day,
Yeah.
I think we work under certain principles that allow us to be approachable, but also show that we care for our kids.
No, that definitely shines through you, Michael. It does. What else haven't we covered about Portland State that you think is important for athletes to know?
I just think it's such a magical place. I think we went through some of those benefits of obviously kind of the business connections and all that stuff too, and the environmental piece to it as well. But it's the people. It's the people that 100%. And I would say that to any advice to any recruit, when they're looking at programs. And I know you and I have talked about that quite a bit. Is what color is it? Stadiums, campus size. Those are all somewhat important characteristics, especially if you have strong opinions about those things. But ultimately, it comes from the relationships that you're going to build. And I think you have to, as best as possible, try to discover who it is that you're going to be playing with and for.
Yeah.
And that is the difficult piece to recruiting.
Yeah.
Because even in one visit, you're still taking a huge leap of faith.
Yeah. And we don't always get it right.
No.
We do our best to, really help our athletes get to know as many campuses and really feel like, they can choose because they have this huge list and they can choose wisely because, they really understand the program. But, you're right. It's until you get there, and sometimes you don't. And so the more knowledge and education we can bring to them, and the more often we can help you guys get to know our athletes in as many ways as possible, the better. But no,
Right.
You're doing a fabulous job, and I hear nothing but really positive things.
I appreciate that.
About everything going on. So thank you. It'll be interesting to see, what all happens, and if your preseason goes as planned. Do you have any fun tournaments coming up?
Well, we're scheduled to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
who knows? It's the first weekend, so
okay.
and we definitely managed to do it on the cheap, which is one of the benefits of where we are geographically.
Yeah.
And I've played there at Portland State. We've done it twice,
Okay.
and we played really well there. But I do know that we're up against the beaches and the aloha of it all. So I always hesitate with the team because I'm always like, okay, here's the deal. We can go, but here's the big but.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, we're going to be in LA twice.
Okay.
So we'll be down to LMU. We're going to Long Beach second weekend. And then the fourth weekend, we're going to stick around here and do something with the University of Portland. So
We'll get some kids to come watch. Absolutely.
yes, yes.
Note that. That's cool.
Well, it sounds like the Hanes will be there in full force.
Oh, you know it. Do you plan on going international if everything goes well in the future? Is that something you talk about doing ever with the team?
As far as taking a team over there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure. At Oregon State was the first time I've been overseas as an assistant, and then we've gone twice at Portland State every 4 years, basically every time you can.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So, and we've developed quite a few relationships with past players there who have been able to kind of host us and show us around, and
Mm.
as well as a very rigorous. Usually, it's like a 10 or 11 day tour with 8 matches. So, if you can imagine, like taking in all the sites all day and then trying to play volleyball. I mean, admittedly, volleyball becomes somewhat of a back burner thing to some degree when you're over there,
Right.
because of all the experiences you're taking in. But we do find value in it. And I think more importantly, I think just giving those kids the experience to go and just be in a completely different environment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is awesome. All
Yeah,
right, Michael, I will let you go.
sounds good. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
it.
look forward to seeing you on the trail soon.
Yes, I know it's so sad. We don't even get to go out and see each other.
I know it's killing me.
Well, I
Oh,
appreciate this. This has been awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. So great spending time with you. Talk to
All
you
right.
soon. Bye.
I'll talk to you later.